Hey, everybody, welcome to Friday night's after show. It's so good to be with you guys tonight, and especially these two guys who are in the same place again without me. I will add. Hi, Greg Oliar and LB. What's going on? Nice to see you guys again. Where are you? Well, I know where you are, but how come you're there?
We're in an undisclosed location, Zev.
Never seen that set before. It's actually you're a fake after show host. I think you're a simulated after show.
The set
host.
is a backdrop. This is a backdrop. I photographed the inside of my office and moved it to the undisclosed location.
Okay. Because you got something secret to report to us.
Oh yes. Yeah, I can't report it, Zev.
It's too secret, top secret.
We can't remember it. Yeah.
And
I don't know why you're not here, and it's
fine. Fault. I mean, there's a border apparently, so that apparently you can't cross now.
But
I'll just stay here. It's fine. Don't invite me to the parties.
Ridiculous.
It's okay. I'll just sit here and be a vicarious observer of your good times. I saw LB you were in New York with Lou New as well, which was.
I was.
Those were nice photos.
Thank you so much. Yeah,
you look great. By the way, I don't know how you do it, but we should talk about beauty secrets at some point. But I
don't know.
It's amazing.
I'm not sure. Yeah, thank you so much. That's so kind.
That's true.
I'm a little red-eyed. I've just been traveling and working, and it's just been a hamster wheel this week and for a couple months actually. But I can't recommend it enough if you folks have not made a journey to see a friend that maybe you're a distance from because of COVID. I just think just put it really at the top of your priority list. It was so warm and unexpectedly kind of emotional and lovely for us to be together because Lou and I have just been in the trenches together for so long and we always see each other. We always made an effort for that before COVID, and then it's been really hard. I'm not gonna, and I think people can relate to that. It's just,
yeah, for sure.
I get emotional. It's been really hard not to see, my dear friend. So we came together. It was just going to be one night because I was there in the city for just a brief thing, and then we couldn't even let go of each other. And then it was like, okay, so every second we could see, we could squeeze it in. We did.
Isn't that great? Everyone can relate to that. Although I haven't yet done one of these big journeys, but it's incredible to just reconnect with good friends. Whenever it is that you reconnect with friends, whether if they're really good friends, you'll pick up from where you left off, and it'll be like nothing ever happened between the two of you. So, speaking of being in the trenches, because we will talk a lot about a lot of things tonight, but it's been kind of a good week for the people who investigated Trump Russia. For those of us who who've been saddled with the words like Russia hoax or whatever it is that they called us.
I know.
We've had a few terms of, what was the other one? Blue and on? I heard that one. But, here we are. And it looks like things might be developing even so many years later. It looks like there's been some developments around the Trump-Russia investigation, starting with Jerry Pasca's raid of his homes on, was it Monday or Tuesday? And by the way, people said that his homes were not really used by him. That's not true. He was there a fair amount, especially the one in D.C., which is right next door to Kellyanne Conway's home, by the way, interestingly enough.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, they're neighbors and also connected via a bunch of things, which I'm going to go through a little later on. And then we had Bannon. Bannon, speaking of Kellyanne Conway's boss at the Trump campaign was Steve Bannon. And so he finds himself in front of an unhappy judge, hopefully soon, maybe even a happy
judge. And she used his services on the Cruz campaign before the Trump campaign with Cambridge Analytica. Right. Yeah, so that's a relationship I think that's a lot sort of more involved than we may or may not know. It's hard because there's as good of a week as it is for all of us, right, who have been on top of these folks. Mm-hmm. We don't know anything until actual charges are brought.
Right.
And Lev Parnas today is.
Oh, that's what I was getting to. Lev Parnas. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
Found guilty. Couldn't happen to a nicer
guy.
Should
I tell them?
This is funny.
Yeah.
Okay. So, people pull me into DM groups and I genuinely have a good spirit about it, but I'm not a big active person. I just don't have time and I don't pay attention. I apologize. And everyone that's pulled me in knows I'm just sort of this thing in the background. Some of them maybe a little bit, but I got pulled into a group with him.
Oh yeah.
And he was already in there and I was like, and I normally would, I almost like my reaction was, I got to get out of here. Right. Cause I knew you know enough. It's like charges are coming for this guy.
Yeah.
But I just was like, oh, well, it's kind of amusing, right? And then I forgot about it. I completely forgot about this group. You get the notifications. I just ignore it. And then all of a sudden today, like the charges hit, and then Lev Parnas has left. Came up in the notifications. I took a screenshot of that. I was like,
oh, very good.
Yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah, I've spoken to him on Twitter before.
I wish them luck. I wish people luck, when they're facing their charges. Yeah, but we'll see what. I think there were some real crimes going on there. So
real crime.
You might have to. Real crime.
I think you could say there's a fraud guarantee.
It's a guarantee of a little bit of fraud.
If not a mafia rave. Or is it the other guy that has mafia rave? I get them mixed up.
Oh, yeah. Who had the mafia rave? Oh, I can't.
The club is the mafia rave.
We don't have our notes.
Who had mafia
so
rave?
funny.
Who had mafia rave?
There was a club.
It was a club.
Oh,
yeah,
it's a good name for a club.
Club.
I once spoke to Lev Parnas because I was like, well, let me see if I can get an interview with the guy.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, sure. Let me, got to go talk to my lawyer. I talked to his lawyer for like 3 weeks, it seems, like endlessly talking to his lawyer. And then they just said no. I was like, well, why did you put me through this whole thing in the first place? Like, I mean, just I can go like pitch this like endless stream of, please talk to me. And then they get turned down. So whatever. I'm not upset about it. Not that.
Then he's convicted anyway.
Most people talk to you. Yes, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Very charming.
I get some good, I get good sources. People talk to me. I don't know why, but they do. So I'm very happy that they do.
It's great.
And I genuinely am interested in what their point of view is. I think I'm actually listening to them. So it's like I'm not just trying to write the fake news as they do on the other side. You see this? I did a little something just because I thought we should alert everyone that this is coming.
Free Steve. Oh.
Steve did nothingwrong.com and 1-800-FREE-STEVE. I think this is coming sooner or later. We should just prepare ourselves. I thought I'll just preemptively put this out there that this is in our future. Steve Bannon is going to probably try and make a lot of money no matter what happens out of this.
Yeah.
And we should just be prepared for it. We should just be prepared that that's what's going on. I also think that when you look at this thing, they really are not expecting him to testify. I mean, if anyone's expecting Steve Bannon to show up ever in front of a committee in Congress and actually tell people anything, it's really unlikely. It's really unlikely. He might spend some time in jail. He might do that happily because he can raise some money. But I don't really expect them to win. I mean, I just don't see that he's not going to do it. There's no reason for him to do it. He's so complicit in everything.
Well, he's not going to do it. The reason to go for this is to actually say, yes, when we subpoena you, you must show up, right? So you either have that authority or not. And unfortunately, we're at a point in our democracy where we have to protect our own shit. Mm-hmm. So anything that is, and make sure that the law is there where there are laws to back us up, and where it's just a norm, make sure we try to get that codified into law as long as we have majority to do so in the legislative branch. So, there's a lot of work on our democracy that we need to do. A lot of work.
A lot of work.
A lot of work.
They were going to do this.
Can we do our complaint? You wrote the book about it.
Yeah.
What?
Do you want to do our complaint that we had in the car about the generation? No, we're not doing that. No. Never mind. No. Private conversation.
Just so I can manage the expectations this evening. How many cocktails in are we in at this point tonight?
This
is just the first.
Greg just made this.
Tell the truth.
No, this is
the first cocktail of the day. Okay.
Well, I will admit to this. I don't normally do it.
Yes.
But I did write a whole series. That was the project I was on. I can't announce it yet, but I turned in the last bit on the last bit of work. When I came here, I couldn't get it off on the email. And so I've been working through this whole thing. So I sent that off, and I was like, I did a dance around your dining room. And Greg's like, what's going on? And I'm like, I just sent it. I just completed my series.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh my God, I don't know. So we went out, I had a little beer to celebrate.
Oh,
but
so
that was it.
So it's not drink number 2.
2
okay.
o'clock. Yeah.
I just want to see I like to pace the show around your alcohol intake.
Stop it. We're not drinkers.
I know you're not drinkers, but you only drink in this hour, which is why it's so amazing.
We try to make it festive for people, but
it's like happy hour, but it's also
we
have to drink as much as possible during this hour.
Yeah, it's because
This
that's
is
all you
the
have.
only hour. This is all we get. Yeah, we're left alone by our families.
When Steve Bannon is in prison, he'll only have 1 hour to be outside, and he has to make the most of it.
No, I get that. That's why I time it, because it hits you harder when you don't do it that often. Anyway, I'll stop talking about that. So this week we also had. I'm just catching up here with my little calendar thing, because it's hard to keep up with all this.
I'm putting on my glasses.
So Christopher Steele spoke on Monday. You guys want to talk about Christopher Steele? Do you have any thoughts on Christopher Steele? You don't have to. I'm just.
I still like Christopher Steele. I'm sorry, I like it.
I like him too. He's a good guy.
Think? Yeah.
Well, what's interesting on my podcast, Prevail with Greg Oliar, I had Arthur Snell on.
It's a really good podcast, and I didn't hear today's episode. We're going to talk about that later, but go ahead and talk about the Prevail podcast with Greg Oliar.
Arthur Snell was my guest a couple of months ago, and he's a British diplomat, ex-British diplomat, who's been all over the world and stuff, and he is now one of the managing partners at Orbis. Mm-hmm. And at the end of that, we do talk about the Steele dossier, and he sort of made the same points on the podcast that Chris Steele made this week, which is, there's the 4 pillars of the stuff that's true. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about this, I think, privately, and the takeaway from the whole thing about the Steele dossier, okay, is that the media read the first page and a half, got to the part about urinating hookers, and was like, "Oh my God, it's Pete! Oh, blah, blah.
Urgent, breaking news! Pete, gotta put it out there."
And like 98% of the coverage about this one fucking idiot, stupid detail that is absolutely meaningless. It doesn't matter what happened in the hotel room. What matters is that Trump was compromised doing weird sex shit, which, of course he was. There's nothing controversial about that. It's not all the other stuff in the dossier is ignored, especially the part about how the guy who ran MI6's Moscow bureau for years and years had his goddamn hair on fire saying, "Holy shit, this is really fucking bad. I need to get this to somebody at the FBI, in the Senate. Where's McCain? Blah, 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 blah." This is not something he had to do. Yeah. Okay. He got paid to write his report. He wrote his report. And then he was like, "Holy shit, man."
I mean, he went to everybody. Literally, he went to everybody. Every outlet's like, "Oh!"
Yeah. He blew his cover, right? He basically blew his cover.
Yeah.
Like Mother Jones, like it was these tiny, good on them for writing about it. But it's not like the New York Times was covering this shit. It wasn't on CNN. And if it was, it was in the context of the fucking pee-pee tape.
Yeah. Everybody covered Trump's mob ties and money laundering and connection with organized crime and even Russian organized crime for years before. But as soon as he's running for president, it's like, "Oh, we know nothing. We see nothing. We hear nothing."
He's a different person now that he's a candidate, right? Like there's like, we whitewash the past. Although they didn't do that much reporting on his mob ties, a little bit of his mob ties, but he's still so close to a lot of these journalists that he was.
Did it, and they were like, "Oh, it didn't get any traction," and it's like, because you're idiots.
Because he gives them favors.
Just grab the narrative.
Yeah.
Right. Clearly, it would have gotten traction, or the 3 of us wouldn't be here. Right?
Okay, I've got questions for you. Nobody's. Okay. Could I get 3 questions for you? So, P-tape, does it exist? Yes or no?
Irrelevant. It's not relevant.
No, you didn't get that. You don't get that option. Does it exist? Yes or no?
I think it's him peeing. I think Fred Harding is right.
Okay. You're not going to say. I'm going to say
Luke Harding.
Luke Harding.
No.
Fred Harding.
Who's Fred Harding?
Am I saying it right?
You think Luke Harding. Fred from Chicago. Not
yeah. What did I say?
Fred.
I swear to God, I have not had a lot to drink.
No, it's fine. My brain doesn't retain any facts anymore. It's just like it's
so Fred. So I do. I think I wouldn't put it past Donald to do something disgusting himself on something he thought was Obama's thing. Mm-hmm. I really wouldn't. This is the guy. This is why I have my Twitter handle that I have of Lincoln's Bible. He only requested Lincoln's Bible because he knew Barack Obama had taken his oath of office on it, and he wanted to put his hand on it and just sort of be the last person and kind of, that was a troll, and it was like a desecration. So he's a desecrator.
He is.
Donald
I do think there's more compromise than just this P tape, because
of course
I think they might have like pedophile tapes. I mean, I'm not saying that he's a pedophile. I'm just saying they might.
There's rumors, but at this point, first of all, we're never going to see it. Second of all, if we see it, everyone's going to say it's a fake.
Yeah,
it
it's never. We're never going to know. So
the money.
It's irrelevant.
It's irrelevant because he's compromised. Okay, Greg, you're right. It's irrelevant. I'm going to go with that. Okay, fine. Second question was, whatever happened to that 19.5% of Gazprom?
Oh, you mean Rosneft.
Rosneft. Sorry. Oh my God. Sorry.
Rosneft.
Sorry.
Well,
facts
that's
disappear.
a question.
Isn't that a big question?
You did a book. Let's hear it from Greg.
I did a piece on this a long time ago, so I'm a a rusty. Zev.
I didn't know I was going to ask it.
We feel really rusty. I gotta be honest.
But here's the deal. Okay, they said in the Steele dossier, it says, and I think it's 19%. They said there's going to be a sale of Rosneft, which is the Russian oil company. They're going to take it public to raise funds, and they said Trump is going to get a commission on the sale of 19%. You know, they're going to sell 19% of it. Trump is going to get a commission on the sale. Again, the media and most people talking about it are like, Trump is going to get 19% of the sale. He's going to own 19% of. No, Trump is a broke fuck. They're not going to pay him that much money. He's a broke. This is a guy who you'll recall, Kurt Anderson, Spy Magazine, during that thing that they did where they sent checks out to rich people for like 23 cents. Yeah. He cashed every goddamn check until there was 1 cent for 3 cents, and he still cashed it. He's cheap and he's broke, and he can be bought off for much, much less than that. These guys are way too smart to give him that. Commission on the sale is not the same as the amount of the sale that's sold. Right. And so my theory has always been that the discrepancy, which is 19%, 19.5%, is the commission on the sale. That the missing 0.5% is the commission on the sale, which if you figure out the math on it, I can't remember exactly, is something like 263 million euro. I forget the exact amount. I'm going to butcher it. I wrote about this on Medium years ago, which, by the way, is something. The amount that of Deutsche Bank is very similar
because he also was $300 million in debt. He was $300 million in debt when he started his campaign. So $300 million.
What do you know?
What do you know?
5% of the value of that company was around the exact amount of his debt. What do you know?
What do you know? What do you know?
And
it's amazing how these things work out.
It's amazing. I did something years and years ago, and I have to pull it up, where there was other amounts between 18 and 19.5 around other big parties and their companies at this time or in the years leading up to it. So there seems to be some kind of formula for a percentage and then a commission fee for these kinds of deals with this.
There's a template.
This group of they have a template. They have a template that the lawyers are, a deal memo that they're used to, and some of it seems to be connected to one another. I literally, like, we were literally looking at this, Zeb, tonight, because it was like, oh God, are we, like, I feel like our brains are so old. It's like, are we going to be able now? All this stuff from 4 or 5 years ago.
Well, it's suddenly relevant again, right?
It's suddenly relevant again.
I'm like, what? I had to go back and read some articles today because I was like, I don't remember how these people are. I actually Googled I Googled a connection between Kellyanne Conway and Pascal or something like that.
Oh yeah.
And a narrative piece is the top ranked piece in Google. So that was going to be.
I don't know.
I hate when that happens.
That's not a good
happens to me too.
So you're like, oh, so that's the best source of information out there on this stuff. I'll share some of that later on.
Okay.
What else should we say about?
I like this format where you just ask questions, Zev.
Oh, okay. Because
we like it.
I don't remember what we talked about. We talked about something. We talked about. You had a bunch of things that you wanted to raise, and I'm just going on my own little thing here.
I like what you're doing.
We like what you're doing.
Well, only because I got this great. But I had a third question about the Chris Steele thing. What was it now? I'll come back to it. Okay. So on Tuesday, we had this going on. We had Pascal's homes raided, which we should stop at and talk about a little bit, I think, because I love Pascal just because that name is just so nice to say when you know how to say it.
I like how you say it.
Pascal.
Good. That's good.
Yeah. So you've got to roll the R a little bit. I'm not sure I'm saying it correct. You know, sorry.
I don't know. Well, let's ask the lady that ended up in a prison somewhere.
So he's an interesting guy. And here he is getting his homes raided in both DC. Did you see how nice that home was? I've got a picture of it somewhere. Let me pull it up.
Gorgeous.
It's a very nice house. It's a very famous mansion.
I believe it's the most valuable house in all of the district, I want to say.
Yeah.
Or it's up there. Yeah.
And you know,
how very Jeffrey Epstein and Leslie Wexner of him.
Yeah, and he didn't buy it directly, of course. He bought it through offshore holding
Fraud
of some
guarantee?
sort.
Mafia
Fraud guarantee. There's some offshore holding that is responsible for this nice little mansion. This isn't the best picture, but it really is. This is the FBI outside his lovely home. Apparently, what's George Conway? Is that his name? Kellyanne's husband left his mansion to go across the way to take photographs, maybe to share with Mr. Oleg Deripaska, because he would have been concerned about what was going on in his home. And they're not disconnected, the Deripaska clan and the Conway clan. There's a connection, and it all goes through, of course, Mercer, which is an interesting thing to talk about too, because when you talk about Bannon and you talk about Kellyanne Conway, you can't not talk about the Mercers. They're just part of the thing. Yeah. They made them. Because remember, there was Paul Manafort, who also went to jail. Brief. Yeah. Did he still in jail? No, he's out of jail. Paul Manafort was the original campaign chairman until they discovered that he had gotten money from the Ukrainians illegally.
He owed a lot of money.
Yeah, but they also got it in a lot of. Remember, there was a black book, and he got a lot of money that was laundered out of the Ukrainian government.
And he changed the Republic GOP platform when it came to Ukraine, their stance on Russia and Ukraine. Yeah.
And so the New York Times published this expose like in August of 2016, and he gets fired. And then the next week, there's this event at Johnson, one of the football owners. I don't know these football people. Got to do sports again today, Greg.
Sports! Sports!
Yeah. So and that's where Mercer apparently goes up to Donald Trump, and the whole campaign is basically falling apart, and so he's got no other options. And she says, "Well, I'm going to solve your problems. I'm going to give you Steve Bannon, and you're going to keep Conway because she was already on the campaign, but you're going to elevate her as number 2." And that is the day that the Breitbart empire sort of took over the campaign. Now it's interesting that Conway was already there. And continued throughout this whole period of time. But the Mercers are an interesting group of people, companies, families, because they also have, when you look at the way they structure their business holdings, there's a little bit of money laundering, perhaps, or hedge fund fixing, maybe price fixing.
How about tax evasion?
Oh, there's tax evasion too.
A possibility of that, because we do know that
he owes $6 billion.
Oh, he paid it back. He paid it back last. I think he paid it back now. I think last week, didn't he pay it back? Which I think may have been, bless you.
Oh my God. I think that. Wait,
Okay. Did you get your COVID test?
Apparently, if you sneeze, that means it's incapable. You can't. If you're nervous, you can't sneeze.
So you're not nervous.
Oh, well, we're not nervous then.
You're apparently very comfortable here.
Manhattan's doing its treasure.
It's doing the work.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry,
oh my gosh.
Okay.
Anyhow, bless you.
Okay.
Bless you, Greg. So let's go back here. So I got Kellyanne Conway and Steve Bannon take over the campaign, and then you've got Robert and Rebecca Mercer, which are interesting too. Yeah. Like, I mean, she's the daughter, right? She's not the wife, and she's also Robert, and she's eccentric as all hell, and he's a real recluse. Like, you barely see anything about him. The two of them are also, with Rentec, which is Renaissance Technologies, is his company, right? And they're tied to Deutsche Bank, which we know are, we know about Deutsche Bank. Deutsche Bank is not a wholesome bank. It's not like your guaranteed bank. It's more like a fraud guarantee bank, because they're the ones who facilitated Donald Trump and
they literally
Kushner.
Guarantee the fraud.
Yeah, they do. They guarantee the fraud. And so in this case, they may be doing some of that kind of stuff, although we don't know for sure. This is just an analysis and maybe a question mark that I'm raising around Rentec. But, Rentec then takes, let's start on the other side. Rentec makes these hedge investments that basically are facilitated by Deutsche Bank, that drives the prices of the shares up, especially on places like the Moscow Exchange, because they're very connected to the Russian energy sector. And then once those prices go up, the money can come out into the shareholders, including probably Putin and Deripaska and some of those other people. And boom, you've got a little bit of like a laundromat thing here, I think. It just feels to me like
I think you have...
I'd be cautious about saying the word laundromat because I don't want to say that it's illegal. But there is something here that looks and feels to me like
there's an engine there.
A scheme.
There's an engine.
Yes.
It's churning.
It's churning and it's making money for some people. And so, there's always been this, curiosity about how Renaissance Technologies is able to make so much money. How were they able to make, $7 how are they able to make, say, the billions of dollars they have? They have better success than any other company that we know of in that field. And one of the reasons maybe that they're so tied to all these people, like they're so tied to Deutsche Bank and they're so tied to the energy sector in Russia. And that's how maybe they get some of that money out. They're also very Russian staffed. They've got a lot of Russian staffers, always had. Yeah.
Well, there's a Russian branch.
It's important to note too, when talking about all this stuff.
Sure. How did I get us through there? Yes.
I don't know. The energy sector.
Good job, by the way.
Thanks.
Well done.
Right.
Yeah.
The energy sector in Russia is really important because it's basically all they've got. Okay.
You mean like Rosneft?
Yeah. No, Rosneft, Gazprom, they have a lot. They have a shit ton of natural resources.
They really do. They pull a lot of it out of Ukraine.
As my buddy Moscow Never Sleeps was telling me the other day, most of the oligarchs, or a significant percentage of them, are trained as metallurgists.
Mm-hmm.
So these are people that know how to. So when you put up the thing about mining, that's a huge thing in Russia. If you know what you're doing with that, that's Deripaska, and some of the other guys as well who know that world.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just worth talking about that. That's what Russia produces. They produce raw materials, mining and stuff like that, and also disinformation. And gas.
Yeah.
And they do they hack and they do malware. They do cryptocurrency. They do some of those kinds of fine industries.
And they traffic a lot of shit. I'm sorry.
Well,
they do.
Criminal shit. I'm talking about the legit.
Right.
It's not legit if you're stealing it from the people, but
true.
Right.
So can we?
Yeah.
Go
ahead. No, I was going to say. Okay, you go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I insist.
So Deripaska is interesting because you mentioned Deripaska, and we mentioned Deripaska, but related to the fact that he was raided recently, and then now there's a connection between Deripaska and the Mercers. You see, so that's what I'm trying to say. So there's a connection there between the guy who is a little bit of potential connection between Deripaska and the Mercers.
We're not quite clear.
Yeah.
But it's in the we're in the universe. We're orbiting.
And remember, Manafort.
He's a lot there.
So you got Manafort and Deripaska in the initial part of the campaign, right? We know that Manafort was getting money from or paying back Deripaska, and then there is no
Manafort without Deripaska.
And then the Manafort does not exist without Deripaska. Manafort gets fired in August and gets replaced by this new crew, which we think is not connected to Deripaska, but maybe they are connected to Deripaska because
we'll see.
Maybe the Mercers and the Deripaskas have a connection. That's all.
We'll see. I think it's something to keep an eye on.
I've been lulled to sleep by Zeb's pronunciation of Deripaska.
I know.
I just want to see how many times I can say Deripaska tonight. So.
I think that's why we're doing this whole segment.
It's not about that. It's just because I can say it.
Say Renaissance technologies.
Renaissance technologies.
Renaissance, you were saying.
No.
It was very good.
Oh, Renaissance.
Like Renaissance.
You said Renaissance.
Yes, that's a South African. Sometimes I get like a little confused.
I know.
I like it.
We like it.
More of that, please.
More.
Okay, I want to say something about Manafort real quick, which is stupid.
Yes.
So let's pause for a moment.
Yeah.
In hindsight, to see how ridiculous it is that Manafort did something so bad that the Trump people had to fire him. Okay, so Dennis Miller, back when he was funny, had a joke about Guns N' Roses, and he was like, "Yeah, Izzy Stradlin got kicked out of Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
What the fuck do you have to do to get kicked out of Guns N' Roses? It's like, how bad is your shit have to be to get kicked out of the goddamn Trump
you'd
campaign?
have to be pretty bad.
These are all active colluding mobs. They're criminals. They're all criminals. And this guy was so toxic that they had to remove him. That's how fucking bad Manafort is.
Right.
Also, Manafort owes money to Deripaska.
Yes. Oh, there you go.
Manafort owes money to Deripaska.
It's actually
Manafort owes money to Deripaska, who owes money to everybody.
Putin.
Deripaska is a guy that borrows money from Alpha Bank and owes them a fuck ton of money and doesn't pay it back. Alpha Bank owes money to Putin. So that's
and VEB, which loans the money to both of these companies, also owe money to Putin. So
it's the devil's triangle. We found it.
Right, devil's triangle. That's what it is. It's a drinking game. Oh my God! Wait, the devil's triangle. The rules of the drinking game are every time Zev says Deripaska, we have to drink.
Oh God, it's a lot. That's a lot this week. I'm gonna make sound.
So no, but sometimes I think that with these Russian oligarchs, people, and by people I mean me, I tend to like blur them all together. Like, what's a Dmitry Firtash?
And they're all the
what's
same.
An Oleg
Vexelberg,
you know, they're all. I can't get them. I get them mixed up. Sorry, I just do, because I've never met them. They're not like in the press a lot. It's not like they're, you know,
they don't have minds of their own.
Burnett shows where I can watch them on TV telling people they're fired. Right?
Are you sure?
Yes.
We don't know.
They tried.
Maybe they do.
But Deripaska is a guy who apparently, I'm told, Moscow never sleeps. The other oligarchs don't like him. They think that he sucks because he doesn't pay money back. He'll say, "Hey, I'm definitely gonna pay you $20 on Tuesday," and then Tuesday rolls around and there ain't no 20. Right?
Really?
People don't like that shit. Criminals,
no. Criminals have a code, right?
Criminals, you got to pay when you say you're going to pay.
You got to pay. You're going to get jigged into the concrete. And then
Putin kind of vouched for him, and he kind of embarrassed him a little bit, which is also bad.
Yeah, well, there was a whole thing that happened with like
that tape is so good.
Paid, and then Putin. This was, I can't remember what year this was, but it was actually the same year I believe Mogilevich was in prison.
It's a while ago.
Oh my God.
Wasn't that interesting?
Crazy.
Put Mogilevich in prison, and now we can yank on Deripaska's change and make him give me back my pen. Bring back my pen, Deripaska, if you're Putin. So there was a lot of stuff going. This guy. He's my cupcake. I call him my cupcake for a reason.
Yeah, there was a cartoon in the New Yorker.
What is the reason? I don't understand what that means.
Because he's so sweet and special. He's just his own little cupcake. He's a cake in and of himself. He doesn't require anything other than the little cupcake with the cherry on top.
He's just that guy.
He's just that guy.
He's the center guy. I mean, there's no way you could look at all that whole Trump-Russia thing and not see Deripaska in every bit of it. Like, he's everywhere.
Yeah.
So when he's everywhere.
Mitch McConnell, too, with the turtle.
Yeah.
With the purple turtle.
The purple turtle? Who's the purple turtle?
Remember he turned purple, Mitch.
Oh, yes, he is.
About Deripaska informing on people and ratting people out and being maybe one of our informants.
Well,
that's on the record.
That's
on the record.
Because
if you go to the Barry Meyer book, I'm sorry, Zeb, but if you go to the Barry Meyer book on the disappearance, I'm sorry, not the disappearance. Yeah, missing men, on the disappearance of Bob Levinson.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where I got really deep into Deripaska because, the Bob Levinson case for people, and I wrote a lot about this. I will return. I promise you, I'm returning to it. And so what happened in an element of that is once Bob was, who was known as the Mogilevich hunter while he was at the FBI, and then when he was a private consultant as well, when he was chasing through the cigarette counterfeiting, when he was a private consultant and his client was Philip Morris. And we know that Mogilevich was a massive counterfeit cigarette trafficker, among other things, around nuclear material, what was called prostitution in the late 90s, which we now refer to as sex trafficking because it's really about moving women with visas and across borders. What else was he? Everything, arms dealing, the whole shebang. This guy was involved in.
Yeah,
and the money laundering. The money laundering.
The money laundering. He was a genius at money laundering. Not always illegal, but he was the brain. Mogilevich was the brain inside, right? He had Misha, he had Mihas, he had all these other.
The MBX thing that Sater was involved in. I think it was called MBX. I think it was something like that. And then he also was involved in the Ukrainian scheme, the Gazprom funneling scheme. Yeah,
that's correct. Yeah. That's correct.
So
he's in there. He's a mind that everyone would turn to figure out the schemes and the scams, and folks were following him. And Bob Levinson was hot on his trail for quite a long time. Mm-hmm. Bob Levinson then ends up being kidnapped in Kish, Iran, and held hostage. And we don't know. We don't have any solid information about what happened to him. The longest held U.S. hostage in history, and was just recently. Was it last year or the year before?
Yes,
declared deceased, but although not recovered. So it's still one of these things. It's very painful. The family's been through a lot. So all that always needs to be said in context of this. But in Barry Meyer's book, Missing Man, and he's very clear about it in this book, Deripaska was offered up by an associate of both Levinson and Mogilevich, as it turns out, as a potential source of information over what happened to Bob Levinson. And the CIA and I think the FBI as well. Actually, I think we had a couple FBI agents travel to go meet with him. It seemed there was a lot of reaction to him of his character and what it was like to sit with him. And I encourage everyone to read that book and read those excerpts from those agents who have seen a lot. And, and when you're sitting with somebody and the takeaway for these agents who work in the worst of organized crime is that this is the most cold, calculating, frightening human being they've ever sat across from. And it's just disturbing, right? His energy is just really disturbing. But they went to him because there was solid information that this man might know where Bob was. How do you know where Bob Levinson is?
Well,
and this was several years after Bob's capture. So Levinson's capture. So who are you in business with that you have inside information about where Bob Levinson is?
He also funded it, right? He paid. It was expensive. It was an expensive mission.
It wasn't
50 million or something. I think it was. Yeah, but I think it was an expensive mission.
For Dana Pascal, it was about getting a visa because he was
exactly.
on a visa. He couldn't get a visa, and he wanted a visa because he wanted to get that goddamn house, probably, right? In DC, like he had property to buy and shit to do.
An American election.
And we weren't letting him in. Now, a lot transpired between those years and now. But if we want to look at all along the way, if you start tracing who was on the sort of either solicit something from Deripaska or on the Deripaska advocacy train, don't forget that Steve Mnuchin really advocated to take Deripaska's companies off of the sanction list, and he succeeded. And so there's a lot with this guy. There's a lot of our politicians in Hollywood. There's a lot in our intelligence community. There's a lot in even our FBI and even our domestic stuff of trying to manage and deal with this man who has had his sights set on America, on our institutions, right, on our democracy, as we now know with the Manafort stuff, of just being this sort of a fucker, right? I don't know what else to call him.
I think we call them here on the show. He's a fucketeer. This was 2009. What you're talking about is the attempt to get Levinson was 2009. And then it's not successful. The attempt to get him, but Deripaska still gets the visa. He still gets a visa. So then he's in the United States.
Yes, being able to negotiate shit. Yeah. Right. So he probably offered something else up, and that's not covered in that book and any other.
So let me tell you what happens.
He would have had to give something over.
So in 2014, the Justice Department began a 2-year effort to recruit Deripaska as an informant in what was known as Operation Outreach. And this was, you'll recall, was what was his name? The Justice Department, Bruce Orr. And Christopher Steele was involved in it. In fact, that Christopher Steele was working for Deripaska in trying to get him into the FBI's clutches, into Operation Outreach, and onto the U.S. side. He was what? He was
right. I think it's yes. Yeah. There's stuff about working for. But when it comes to these kinds of deals around informants, what we end up seeing, sometimes we know that they're informants. Sometimes we don't know they're informants, but suddenly they're off the most wanted list, right? And they had a former FBI director as their attorney. Well, there's shit going on there that we don't have. I hope someday, I don't care if I'm 80 years old, I'm going to FOIA the fuck out of this.
It's fine. There's people looking on both sides all the time. I mean, it's sort of Christopher Steele is in that world. Of course he knows. Yeah.
It's about negotiating information out of people who have it that's valuable and that can help us in the present, whatever the present moment is and whatever the present threat is.
So
don't forget that Chris Steele was also very connected with Comey and that whole case around FIFA, the soccer.
Before you go there, I'm going to hold you back because I want to finish this, and then we'll go to FIFA. So 2015. They continue to do this effort. He gives them a lot of information about Putin. Deripaska gives them a lot of information about how corrupt Putin is, and they say, okay, well, we'll give you another visa while we try and smooth things over with you. And then, so it's interesting that in 2015 and 2014, that Obama's people, not Obama's people, but the FBI and the CIA, I suspect, were involved in recruiting Deripaska. So they might have had an inkling that something was coming down, and they needed to overturn some agents or flip them. And that is how. Then there's this other really amazing thing that happens in 2015 or 2016, where they go back to Deripaska at his New York apartment, and they confront him, and company confront him about why he's lied to them all this way. But it's too late already. The machine is underway, and then we're on the way to Donald Trump. So that's how it happened.
That's how it happened. And I think it's really worth noting that I'm not sure, somewhere there appears to be a sort of, dare I use the word, back channel, but some type of communication channel. Dare I use back channel? Some type of communication conduit, one or two, removed or direct, between Deripaska and the former administration, Trump. And I say this because there's so many details, like the minutiae stuff, and just to this detail you gave right there, where it appears that it was always about Deripaska's interests that would continue to get advanced. And again, I don't know if this is the money, but certainly there was some kind of communication, because whatever that guy wanted seemed to be coming out of Donald Trump's mouth or through his people.
You mean between Deripaska and the Trump campaigin, or between Kalimnik? Konstantin Kalimnik was the.
I'm not just talking about the campaign.
Okay, just Trump in general.
I think throughout. So but that doesn't mean I'm holding. I want to say this. For everyone listening to this, and I'm seeing your comments, and some of them are just hysterical. You guys, you're so funny. They were like, "Bring back narrative sports." So with that being mindful, you don't want to hear about any of it. We get into narrative sports, so wants to hear that, but now you don't want to hear this. So
that's very funny.
I'm not as optimistic as a lot of sort of people who are doing analysis or predictions about what's going to come out. What might be sitting behind this Deripaska raid? No, I'm optimistic about it in that he's a criminal. I think he's been criming for a long time. I think he's useless. I don't think they care about getting any kind of information out of him anymore. And so he's going after something. I think when you look at the kinds of materials, it appears, again, it's all watching video and trying to dissect, and that's so hard, guys. We just need to have the charges and the list of items and just wait for the shit to come down in the courts, right? But in speculation mode, it does look like they were taking more than just sort of communication devices and paperwork out of there. It looked like they were taking some items. And if you're taking items out of someone's house, the presumption is that they were acquired through some type of fraud or grift or something that might indicate a larger sort of RICO charge sitting behind it. So just know that this guy's been in with crime lords. He's a crime lord himself, in my opinion. This is my opinion and my free speech. Don't come sue me. Cupcake. you're my cupcake. Don't come after me. I mean, but it's the syndicate, that there's so many connections between this guy and a very dangerous and very, very well-established crime syndicate, that, kind of brace yourself that it might just be straight up criminal activity. Election interference. I don't know that it's going to be the thing that ends up turning into handcuffs for Donald Trump. I know people are kind of thinking that, but
nor for Deripaska. I mean, he's never going to show up in an American jail. I can't imagine. He's just never going to come back here.
It would be nice if he just kept his ass out of the country, though.
Yeah,
we don't need him here.
Yeah, just get him out. I just want these people out and take their money. Take their shit.
Yeah, we need the money.
Your fucking money's not good here anyway.
No, we'll take the mansion. We should take the mansion.
Creditors.
Yeah. Take the mansion. Take the. If there's RICO charges or something where we can have some asset forfeiture, some other charge, then take it. Seize their shit. That's the only thing they care about, you guys. I know everyone wants to see the form of sort of justice that feels like it makes things work for us and put things morally right for us based on our world of rules. Know that these folks, they're nihilists. They don't have the same morals. I don't know why I'm with this napkin. They're not the same creatures. They're not. They're different. All they care about is their wealth and their items and their things and their power, and they can't have enough of it. So that's why I get so excited. It's like, get them on the financial crimes. Take their shit away. If you want to hurt these mob oligarchs and these gangsters, take away their shit.
Hey, they took away a lot of shit.
Took some shit.
Some
But
art
there's probably a lot of expensive art. The thing is, it's also counterintelligence stuff. I mean, there's also these other layers that are happening that we don't necessarily know what they are, but there's counterintelligence work going on. And potentially, when I look at the world, I'm thinking the Nord Stream 2, whatever that was called, Nord Stream, is to me is a bit of a give, I think, to Putin. Obviously Biden gave something there. I'm wondering if he got something in return, and I'm wondering if maybe letting Deripaska go for American investigations and letting a reduction in the number of hackings. We haven't really had a lot of hacks since that meeting in Geneva. So maybe there's some things there that we don't know that are going on behind the scenes between the administrations, which would be interesting because maybe that allows them to fully investigate Deripaska in a way that they could not have done before when he was
Good point.
So who knows? Maybe something like that's happening.
We're in a weird holding pattern where we can see stuff is going on, but we don't know anything because we have to wait for stuff to hit the public record from the Department of Justice itself. We really do.
Yeah.
We have to wait.
And if it is a deal like that, that's really smart because then he's taking Russia and China and putting a wedge between them, which is really, really smart. Because he's bringing Russia closer to America in weird ways. Not that we would ever imagine that would have happened out of 2016, but I think it makes sense if you're pushing China through a wedge.
Between 2016 and 2020, Russia and America were very close.
Very close. Yeah, that is true.
Insofar as our president was owned by their president.
Yes. Yeah. Can't believe
Pulp Fiction,
and God knows how many other people.
The Gimp,
and the janitor, owned him. My God. This guy.
Speaking of owned, there's so many ways it can go there. But we hadn't spoken about Mark Zuckerberg yet.
Oh, I thought narrative sports. You were.
But you know what? Do we have some sports today? Is there narrative sports?
What's our sports?
I got no sports, man. Aaron Rodgers said to he scored a touchdown against the Bears. And the Bears fans were like, it was in Chicago, and they were flipping him off. And he just goes, I own you. I've owned you for years. Oh. Which is kind of awesome.
That's kind of, I don't know.
I've owned you?
Any of that.
He's one of your guys now. Aaron, he's married to
are you talking about a Dodger?
Wolseley, and
is that my guy?
He's part of Hollywood now, Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. Oh. You got him.
I don't know.
Zeb, the other interesting thing is that the Knicks won their season opener in double overtime, and it was fucking awesome.
The Knicks.
That's it.
The Knicks.
Okay, that was
fully vaccinated team wins. That's it. That's what you need to know.
Vaccinations win. Okay.
And the team in New York, the Brooklyn Nets, that's supposed to be so great, and their Kyrie Irving guy isn't vaccinated. They fucking got blown out. That's what you need to know.
See, that's how it works. If you don't get vaccinated, you lose. You're losers. All right. Okay. Now we know. Is that the sports?
Somebody says, I don't understand.
That's the sports. Yay.
Was that Marie? That was Marie Cass.
That's not a real sports. There's no real sports.
There's no real sports. Okay. That's just Greg ranting.
Thank you, Greg.
It's okay.
So we have a few minutes left. Do you want to talk about Zuckerberg? Do you want to talk about anything else? Or I can keep going because I have lots of detail about Deripaska. I can keep going.
You were going to say something about the Kellyanne thing.
What did I say about Kellyanne?
No, he said he was just saying the Mercer.
Through the Mercer. Yeah. I've heard that I have heard that they are, in fact, they're friends. That's what I heard.
Yeah, they're friends. I mean, he's been there since 2010.
Reasonable. I have a big mansion. You have a big mansion. Hey,
we're neighbors. We're neighbors.
Times has been piling up on top of your in your driveway.
If we find out that it's Deripaska's money pouring into the Federalist Society, then.
Well,
and we have no way of knowing that it's not because of the dark fucking money. We have no way of knowing if Leonard Leo. We have no way of knowing, Citizens United. I don't know if Leonard Leo's taken money from foreign governments. We have no way to know.
We have no way to know.
Who knows? Do you know? I don't know.
I don't know.
It's impossible. I really don't know. It's impossible to tell. I mean, I do know that Mercer and Kellyanne Conway were part of the Federalist Society. It's such a big part of their fabric of their history. So I mean, that's where they connect really is through the Federalist Society. So it would be interesting if someone else from outside of America was doing that.
This is Greg's
pacing. Yeah. I know. This is your pacing.
It's gone.
You peak in about 20 minutes from now.
I'm barely going.
I'm just joking.
You had the beer at 2 o'clock. I had coffee.
I will say that I think Kellyanne Conway deserves some attention. I mean, I will say she sort of has she's disappeared, and it's sort of like, wait a second,
we
come back here.
Her? Why
No, I would enjoy talking a little bit more about Kellyanne Conway. I even made a composite picture of her with the boys, and I thought she looks quite good with the boys over there. Don't you think?
That's why she hangs out with these guys. I mean,
it's a mob family. It's a family thing.
And you put yourself in a picture next to Steve Bannon, you're going to look pretty. Because Steve Bannon is and Mike Flynn are two of the ugliest fucking humans that have ever drawn breath.
You're forgetting about Roger and Donald and Alex Jones. It's a menagerie of.
Yeah. Well, this is a combination of the 2016 crowd and the Stop the Steele crowd together.
The whole thing. So when you put the picture up of Bannon earlier, when he's in the prison there.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that MAGA listens to this guy, and I hate to, whatever. He's so hideous. I mean, he looks like a character in the Star Wars movies who's like literally decomposing from the evil.
He really is.
Right? Does he have leprosy? Like, what the fuck is wrong with him?
The multiple shirts, this oozing alcohol. It's
like, that's the guy. Yeah. That's the guy. That's our guy right there. That good-looking dude.
Yeah. With
his face fucking melting off from the evil boiling up inside him. That's our guy. I mean, sometimes the good Lord in his or her infinite wisdom makes it really easy. And in Bannon's case, it's easy. If you look like a lesser demon, you're a lesser demon. I mean, you just are, Sorry.
The reason he was arrested originally, that picture was taken that day when he was arrested for stealing money from Republicans to build a wall that he was never going to build a wall for. So, I mean, in association,
arrested on a boat with the Chinese guy,
with the Chinese spy on it. Yeah, in partnership with the Chinese spy.
No, listen, you don't. I got into this in The World Beneath. Before this even news hit.
It's crazy.
I wrote all this. There's an amazing excerpt from when folks were trying to figure out back in the day, 100 years ago, and we were changing laws and prohibition laws and trying to figure out how to then catch, how to create law enforcement agencies to go and catch what were crime syndicates. It hadn't existed before. And it landed in where Elmer Irie, who ran the Treasury Department and actually created the team and was one of the greatest lawmen, probably the greatest lawman to ever exist, right? And J. Edgar Hoover was the polar opposite. He was so jealous of Irie and he kept trying to steal all of it. He just flat out stole all his thunder. And Irie was just so dignified. He never bothered with it, but or to address it. But he came out of the postal inspector, right? He was the chief postal inspector. And the reason why the person who was the head of the sort of designated by the administration at that point to create this new thing in law enforcement that would go after smugglers, right? Which were booze smugglers, but there was drugs as well and human beings. Is they said, the guy says this very famous quote of like, they could find it, go get the postal inspector because they can find a missing penny, right? In a sea of anything. Like, it's like, it was the only law enforcement. It was the only law enforcement or government sort of agency that had the type of inspector and crime division and the kind of crime fighting
they got to enforce.
that you needed to actually go follow the money. So it's not a little thing that it was the postal inspectors and that law enforcement and in combination with the Coast Guard, because he was on the water. Those two forces 100 years ago were locked in sync and ended up, quite frankly, with under the leadership and guidance of Elizabeth Friedman, creating what we now know today as the National Security Agency. That is the origin of the NSA.
Yeah, I know, but
it's good, right?
It's good. I like the story.
Everybody watching this who's imagining the postal inspectors arresting Bannon is picturing the dude in the shorts that delivers the mail.
Well, don't underestimate the dude in the shorts.
Hey,
that motherfucker.
That's intelligence gathering.
Good.
They're intelligence gathering.
Here's another.
Okay, he's at the bottom of the Manhattan.
I know. You're all right on time. Right on time.
I have one more cherry left.
Sorry, he's noticing when the arc is. I'm still
honestly,
I
know.
Why? Steve Bannon has a lot of money. He has a lot of influence. Why? What's the point of having all the money? if you can't dress, if you can't take care of your face, if you just like you look like Pigpen from the fucking Snoopy thing all grown up, where you're radiating stink. What's the point of having all the money if you can't spend it on basic things?
Well, if you're radiating stink, you need a scent.
You need a scent.
You need a product.
Yeah.
You need a new scent to
you just do multiple shirts.
To cover. No. You need a product. And I believe that Greg had a product, a new advertiser on Prevail today.
Okay, well, you guys talk about that for a few minutes while I just try.
Okay. I don't know. We're not going to talk about that. That's the setup, guys. It's coming in.
That was a good setup. That was such a good setup.
It's because I
was like, where are you going with this? I don't know where you're going with this.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Ridiculous.
Open up my
okay,
phone
guys,
over
I'm
here.
gonna
It's
read
not
it.
come
While you're getting there, I'm gonna. Oh, here's at Y Thrift. My dad was a postal worker.
Oh.
Hey, thank you for sharing that. I love that.
I love postal workers, by the way. I think the post office is fucking awesome, and I think
tip? Everybody needs to tip.
Louis DeJoy guy, who's
can you believe he's still there?
Mobster.
He's still there. I can't believe it.
He's such a disgrace.
Yeah.
He's there. The process again. This is like the process and the rules. But do you have the thing that can help us with our Steve Bandit? If you ever find yourself in a situation where you need 2 or 3 shirts to cover up your stink, is there on a daily basis? Is there a product that can help me, Seth? Is there something?
I maybe in about 30 seconds there'll be a product that can help you. But
there'll be a product. Okay. Well,
but we're waiting for our attendants to. Gosh, they don't do this very easily. It's coming. Boy. It's coming. In the meantime. By
the way, while we're talking here, the comments tonight have been particularly funny.
You guys are really on fire.
I have my computer. I have my laptop higher than usual, so it's right. It's right in front of. I don't know why you're looking down. The thing is right here.
Because I can't see.
Put your glasses on, Alice. Get glasses, Alice. Get
glasses. You're allowed to do glasses. It's okay.
And I use coconut oil.
You guys are always what that's really in
reference to, but someone uses coconut oil.
Is particularly
for the smell, maybe.
Funny. I want to say,
of course.
For the record, thank you guys for watching and listening and contributing because it's.
Oh, somebody said I would crack under this pressure. No, you wouldn't. You'd be doing what we're doing. You
pressure?
You have to just.
There's no pressure.
I don't know.
No
Your
pressure.
I think
no
you're
pressure.
Under pressure to put
There's
that
no pressure.
ad up.
No, you know what? I just. All
right, you were wanting to talk about Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook. So do you want to do that while you're fighting this, or are you there?
I'm just gonna, we're almost there, so we can just keep everyone waiting.
I want to say we were with someone else. Can I say
I hope
that?
It plays. I hope it plays. I hope it plays.
You can say you don't mind.
Oh, okay. Yeah. We were with someone else today. I got to meet in person, although I spoke on the phone and know him. Brett Petticord, who I don't know if he's been on Narrative. I don't think he has,
but I know him through Twitter.
Oh yeah.
So he's been on my podcast.
He's been on your podcast.
Right.
It's 3 T's in Brett Petticord at Brett Petticord, 1 T in the Brett, 2 T's in the Petticord. But he came. This is a man who knows his lane very, very well.
Yeah.
So he's been a long time in. Coding, basically.
Software.
Right?
He's a software architect.
He's a software architect, right?
He's very smart.
Very smart, and worked for all the big companies, written books. He's wonderful. And he has this, he was talking to us, and it was, oh God, it was fascinating to listen to him about, and he also has a background in journalism and in philosophy, right? Mm-hmm. So we're talking about one of those minds that just sort of looks at systems and looks at things, and he came up with he's like, I don't think we should call it social media anymore. It's not social media. It is
subverted media.
Subverted media.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I like
good,
that.
Right?
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. So it's media that has been subverted by hostile forces.
Yeah. That's interesting. I like it.
Yeah,
Steve Schmidt had the term algorithmic imprisonment this week on MSNBC, and I thought I like that too. I like that too. I like it. I can see. So I'm blindly. Yeah, I'm blindly watching a screen here which says Greg Olear, and it's at 6:47 is what you said time wise,
or thereabouts.
So here then is Greg Olear's Prevail.
Okay.
That happened on January 6th. What is called the besieging of the Capitol, because what happened was, I think, akin to some sort of medieval besieging of some.
I'm not in the right place.
No.
I'm not in the right place.
In the middle,
it's
broken up into these tiny
gates. We're winning.
Pepsi.
You know
I
what?
publish on Tuesday, on Friday, on Sunday. On November 1st, it's going to be 2 full years. Sustain this for this length of time. But I am,
like just got sent off
at a world peace. That's a little something for you guys to know about sports.
I mean, we're
making
it so much easier by being in the same
Number 6,
space.
Yes,
Ronald Reagan Airport.
I think I can just play it on my
5,
phone.
KFC.
Can you play it on your phone? That's perfect. Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Number 4, Washington football
guys.
team. Number 3, Exxon.
Oh, okay.
Exxon used to be ESSO, which was SO.
There you go. Okay.
I think I will now take a drink.
I could use a drink now after that.
I gotta catch up with you guys here.
Where did I say it was? 6 what?
6:48 apparently,
6:48.
or so, whatever that might mean, because that's very detailed, Greg.
Okay, people are dying. Thank God you guys are laughing. Oh,
thereabouts.
My God.
You know, somehow at around 6:40 something.
Oh, here it is.
Can you hear it?
Yes.
Okay.
When the evening becomes the night, when the wolves howl with anticipation, this is when alpha men come out to play, to take what they want. Women, power, suede vests, introducing a new fragrance for alpha men. Gorka.
Oh, that's amazing. Gorka. The stink for alpha man. Oh, I love it.
Look for it near the fish oil supplements. And now, back to the show.
Okay, that's the idea.
Oh
anyway.
My God!
That was worth the wait. That was worth the wait. We have to create one. We have to create the actual scent now, or maybe
I think we have to do the perfume sequence for that. And I just want to say that it did put me on the floor today. I lost it. Oh my God!
Funny.
I lost it.
These things are what keep fake ads are what keep me sane.
Maybe we should see if we can get the actual Gorka scent or the Bannon scent and see if we can sell that as a. Because you might be able to capture it in a bottle.
Take it to Goop and make it a candle.
Yeah, exactly. Now you can take Bannon home with you too, and light him on fire.
Light it up.
I was actually. It's interesting because when I thought of that, I was going to make the scent called Bannon, but it's such a boring word.
No, Gorka.
And Gorka's just.
Gorka's so much better,
it sounds like a
Gorka.
No, and people were trying to think that that's me doing that. No,
it's not.
I don't have that kind of vocal talent. I just have my own. I can't do.
I don't think I'm allowed to reveal.
No, you're not allowed.
Who it was. I'm not allowed to reveal.
Oh, okay. But, fine. I'll leave you with a couple of things, though. We've got to go soon, I think. But I'll just say a couple of things that I just left here. This is from Heidi Kuda. We never got to this page in the show earlier this week. So it says here, this is from the Steele dossier. It says, page 7, there's a suggestion from a source close to the Trump and Manafort that Republican campaign team, happy to have Russia as media bogeyman to mask more extensive corrupt business ties to China and other emerging countries.
Yes.
Which is like, that makes sense now. Even 5 years later, still makes sense that it's all about China. Well, it's about Russia.
Yeah.
Is Azerbaijan an emerging country? I feel like it is. I feel like this ties into the butt plug shaped building Trump Tower that they built in Baku in Azerbaijan.
I remember that that was the Iranian Revolutionary Guard money that Ivanka used for that build.
Butt plug in
that was the IRG money, and that was great work by Adam Davidson.
Totally great.
Who
great job.
It was all right there. It was all right there. Too.
I feel like he's like walking around like, guys, I figured this out. Like, why are we still?
I know. I know. That's another great.
I feel like he's walking around in a daze. Like, I don't understand. I showed you all the criminality and everyone ignored it. I don't get it.
I know. I mean, he had a whole run there about a year or so ago where he was like, okay, anybody who wants to actually do the story here.
I feel bad.
B, C.
Right. It's insane. Good for him.
It was like kindergarten. He was taking them through kindergarten.
And I'm not being flip. I mean, I love the guy. I think he does great work and God bless him, But it's an indictment of the fucking media. He writes the story, which should have been front page of everything. But again, I think some hookers pissed on a mattress.
Gorka for the alpha male.
So a lot in that Steele dossier. Sweater vest. What was the other thing you said? Security clearances. Take what you want. Security clearances.
Maybe not that.
Maybe not that.
He didn't get those. Gorka didn't get those. Not in Hungary. Not in the United States. I think even Fox News
by Orban, Gorka by Orban.
Orban. Oh yeah, that's perfect.
It sounds like a real thing. It really does.
So there you go. I was going to say something else, but I can't remember it now. So I'll just stop there. I was going
to say something else too. Oh, about the dossier. Just like that. There's two things that everyone focused on: a distraction within the transcript, and not the meat and bones. And I don't think that the people put in the distraction intentionally. It was just, it's an indictment on our fourth estate and what they chose to focus on when there was so much more information that was so pertinent to our national security.
Yeah.
So the Steele dossier also had about how Alpha Group and Putin, and they were falling out, and there was this dispute. That's actually big information. That understanding that there's pressure inside Russia around Putin, and there are people falling out and all these things. So then you could understand, okay, there's pressure then is going to be exerted onto Putin's asset, who is Trump, which is also what that dossier is saying. It's like he's under grave pressure. He's out of sorts with the forces around him and needs to deliver. And this guy is going to deliver for him, right? And then we can, with everything in that context, you could understand things better.
I also think
it reminds me of that same thing that we did when Greg and I did our skit where we had our little masks and we were being Kevin McCarthy, and we were reading from the transcript of that thing where there's two people. I think Putin pays transcript of Paul Ryan with Kevin McCarthy and some other folks, and people got stuck on that. It's like, swear to God, Kevin McCarthy goes, it's Putin and Trump. That's who he pays. Well, everyone got distracted by that, but paid no attention to what they were discussing before. And what they were discussing before was that they had eyes in and had seen Russian disinformation and influence on a mass scale, like very sophisticated, using social media, using fake news sites, using actual news media to run a disinformation campaign, a big one in Ukraine. And it was almost like a testing ground for what then we ended up seeing happen here around
exactly
our
the
election.
same model, and
they did it for Yanukovych, and the Republicans were discussing it and saying, no, it's Russia that's in there. It's Russia that's doing all this with Yanukovych. And
amazing that Manafort's the same guy.
Propaganda. Right, and Manafort was the same guy. Yeah. So before everything went to hell in a handbasket with Donald getting the nominee and the whole thing in 2016, you actually had the Speaker of the House and the man that would become majority leader in the House, Kevin McCarthy, discussing what they had seen from the ambassador from Ukraine around what had happened with Putin and Yanukovych and Russia, with that Paul Manafort actually, in fact, had run. This is really important information. It's right there in black and white. These Republicans knew. They knew the playbook. They knew.
They went for it. They took it. They utilized it.
Once they realized, hey, that machine's ours now. Now we've got our own machine that we can use. We've never seen them back off of that machine. And that's why they have so much confidence. That's why they believe they're going to win elections. That's why they go ahead and support an insurrection. That's why he doesn't want Steve Bannon investigated. It's not just to cover up maybe culpability on their side. Everyone goes to that. Oh, they're compromised. Or they're trying to cover up. Yeah. It's not just that. It's that it's part of this thing that they're relying on to get them all the power they want in future elections.
Absolutely. It's a deal with the devil. I mean, January 6th,
a propaganda machine. Deal with the
January 6th is still Trump Russia. It's still the same thing. It's exactly the same players doing the same thing and covering up and hiding themselves and doing more criming and more criming and more criming. And they want want us to be okay with it. And we're not okay with it. I mean, no American is really okay with it. So it's going to
we're not okay with losing our democracy.
No, it's not going to happen. It's against the rules. It's not what everyone wants. And, the Pied Piper is here, hopefully, at some point. Yeah. We wait for him. Although I was encouraged by Merrick Garland yesterday. That was a really good testimony.
Oh, good.
Especially because he kept saying that he kept saying that that Durham. Good. He kept saying exactly why Durham was there. Durham is there to investigate these things about Clinton and about Biden and all these other things. Right. Which means that he's got another investigation on the other side because he's just being balanced. He's being fair and balanced. Otherwise, he wouldn't be. I think so. I think so.
That's good. That's a good point.
Good read.
Good read. Let's keep our eye on it.
Yeah.
I love all these reads. We
little
have
hopeful,
on a board so we can these are the things to keep the eye on, everybody. Let's see how it all goes.
I hope I hope that one's true. So that's the end of the show.
LB,
it is the end of the show.
Yes.
Tell everyone about your podcast, The World Beneath.
I just told you.
Tell me some more. Tell me some.
All right, that was season 1. Again, you guys can keep revisiting it. Please do. Please download. Please listen. Please share. I love all that. Season 2 is coming. I just had to do this other project in the meantime, but I actually have been working hard on it, and I thought it was going to be. I give a tease at the end of the last chapter, not the last sit down, but the last chapter in season 1, chapter 10. Narrative, where the narrative body of it, where I say at the end, I'm going to see you in Hollywood, right? I'll see you out west, right, in Vegas. And so that's a big hint of where it's all going next.
Hollywood, Florida.
Yeah. Okay. No, we're going west, and we're going to connect into the real gangsters who really, really built a big part of this country.
I love the Vegas story. The Vegas story is so good. It's just great.
The Vegas story is amazing. It's good. But there's more sort of sources and stuff. I've been working on that in the meantime while I've been compiling it. And I thought it was going to be this fun sort of candy kind of thing before I got into the really heavy stuff. And then I was like, oh shit, this is probably going to be the biggest season. It's big.
None of these people are very nice at the end of the day. They do not such nice things to each other.
They don't. They don't do such nice things to each other. But when you realize how it is affecting us today and really have that context for it, it's still blowing my mind. Part of what I was doing in New York was that, and I came out, it's hard to kind of blow my mind anymore. And I came out of work week where I was like, holy shit, I can't believe it. So I everyone, I look forward to writing all that for you, and it's coming. But in the meantime, really bone up on season 1. Really bone up on season 1.
This week or next week?
It's not. Stop it. This is takes forever to do this stuff, you guys. It's so hard.
I do 3 shows a week. What's the problem? Come on, you can do it.
No one knows how you're doing any of this. Nobody is you, for sure.
And Greg Oliar's Prevail is out every Friday morning. Sandy Bacon was on your show today.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Tell us about that.
Sandy's great, and she's been on this show, Zev, and Sandy is a photojournalist who, she's been following the alt-right, these people who are cringeworthy and horrible. And she was at Charlottesville. She was at the rally on November 14th, at the rally on December 12th, and then obviously on 1/6. And the night before, she filmed all this stuff. So, it's a long podcast. It's almost 2 hours long. The interview is an hour and 45 minutes. So,
I love that you can go so long. That's great. That's so great.
You can. Anyway, that's part of the format. I'm like, I fucking do whatever I want here. I'm not on CNN. Fuck this noise. I want her to have the space to tell her story. And the first part of it, we talk about her and silly things, and then we get into the nitty gritty. And there's a good hour of that at least. So
she's an interesting story, right? Because she became a journalist so late in life. That's. And she's so good at it. She's such a pro.
77.
I know.
She's 77 years old. And this is the thing that makes me sad. I mean, not about Sandy, just about the media in general. We, so much of what depends on her and people like her.
Yeah.
And I just wish it, I wish we were I wish the journalists in the big spaces would do their jobs better. I really do. I mean, not that CNN didn't have this on and cover it, but there's a amnesia that sets in, I think, with some of these things. Like on January 6th, I remember them saying, oh, Jake Tapper, oh, this is terrible. Oh, yes, it's terrible. And then 2 days later, they've forgotten about it because there's something else going on.
It's amazing to me.
And it's something stupid. Someone's hookers are peeing on a mattress, some fucking dumb shit. But this is the story that should be the front page of every news story until they're all in jail.
Yeah.
And the fact that it isn't is a problem. I mean, these fuckers try to overthrow the government. I mean, that's what they did. And I don't know if Trump was trying to install himself as president for life, or if my theory is that he wanted to kill or have removed enough people in the line of succession so that some fuckhead like Pompeo could give him a pardon. And either way, it's really bad. It is contrary to it's against everything that we stand for in this country. And I know there's a segment of people in the country that think that's great, that fascism is A-okay, because they don't realize what it's like to live in a fascist society.
Don't get it.
They don't get it.
Well, I think they get it. I think that they feel like they're going to be on the side of the oppressor, and everyone they have grievance with is actually going to be oppressed.
Yeah, that's not how it works.
It's just not how it works.
It's not how it works. When you're in a real totalitarian state, remember in Caligula, okay, the mad emperor is mad, and he says, I don't feel well. And the one guy says, oh, Caligula, mighty emperor, oh, I would gladly give my life to Jupiter if you would get better tomorrow. And Caligula says, Jupiter accepts your offer. Execute him. And then the guy, that's it for him. Yeah. That's the fucking shit. It's chaos. It's whim. And the whim of a narcissistic psychopath. That's what you get in a fascist state. Period. Yeah. There's no middle ground, because people like the three of us don't get to be fascist dictators. Alas.
No, we go to Switzerland.
Yeah, we wouldn't be allowed to be doing this, by the way, in a fascist world.
I'm right where I am. Okay, I'm here.
You're here. Yeah, New York, and you're here. You're right where you are.
Fuck that noise. Like Bogart says.
Okay, I'll see you later.
What does Bogart say in Casablanca? There's certain sections of New York I wouldn't recommend trying to invade.
Well, so the Prevail podcast, great to listen to today, and you should.
I have a dentist appointment. I gotta go.
No, I'm enjoying it. I love you guys. I can't better it, so I'm just talking because I can't figure out how to improve on what you guys are doing. So you can keep going. I'm listening.
We're happy to be the end of the week clowns. We realized today. I'm like, we don't know what we're doing. We're just the clowns at the end of the week to make everybody relax and enjoy themselves, feel informed, be smart, digest it, but also
before the fascist takeover.
With the palate cleanser before the fascist takeover.
I said this to Craig. He goes, "That's all I've ever wanted to be is the clown. That's fine. I just want to be the clown." Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, it's an amazing story, the three of us, because I mean, we all started like this in 2016, 2015, and we've been. Who would have thunk that we'd still be doing it? I had no idea I'd be standing here, 5 years later, still doing this stuff. That it would still be even relevant. It's just, I would never have guessed that it would have been relevant. I would have thought by then, I thought there was.
I can't believe you're still alive. I can't believe you had a drop from exhaustion. No, I don't think people understand.
Well,
sometime about all of us. 2.5 years ago, I was like, I think I'm going to be writing about this for the rest of my life.
Yeah. I think
I don't know. It just is. It's not,
I've had various points where I thought I could stop. Like I kept saying, I remember I'll be having this conversation with well, after the elections, I'll just stop, right? It'll just be done. And then it's like, they can't really stop.
And what did I say? I said, it's going to be 30 years. I said, you're in this my walker.
Yeah. I think so, because it's, boy, what a story. What a story. And, may you live in interesting times, I think is the Chinese curse or blessing, whatever it is. We sure live in those times. I'm going to end the show because I got nothing, and you guys are brilliant, and I love you both.
Hey, thanks everybody for watching and for fun. The good comments. We really enjoy looking at the comments during the show. Right?
Yeah,
I mean, I do. LB told me before that she does not, but I do.
The disinformation about me has got to stop.
The disinformation about me.
Yeah, it's like a thing. It's like, let's tell some kind of thing and push it. Yeah, no, that's gonna stop.
We really enjoy it. Seriously, we really enjoy it, and thank you everybody for watching and for contributing. It's really great, and I feel lucky. I feel lucky. I feel privileged to even be in this position.
I do. It's really nice.
I love seeing you two together. It's just so nice. It's so nice to see you together. I'm just smiling at you guys.
We really do miss you.
Next time you hear,
it's really wrong that you're not here.
I will be there next time.
This is what I wanted to say. I'm going to say it on air, and I'm going to surprise you with it, Seth. And then you can stop.
I've got something to say. Yeah, one more thing.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I really think we need to do Narrative Live.
Ooh.
I think we need to do narrative live. I think we need to do narrative live with a live audience.
I see. Okay.
We're at the point with the COVID where I think you could travel. I think we could set up in bookstores or whatever. We can let everybody know this is where we're going to be, kind of at the last minute, and do a live show with a live audience.
Huh. I like that. I know there's a barn. I know we can do it in a really nice barn.
Oh, stop it with your barn.
No, it's going to be good. But you know what's also next week?
Oh, you mean the real barn, not like the real barn you found?
No, like a real barn. No, different barn. Good. Like a real nice barn. It's really special.
We can open like in Winnipeg, like when Keanu did Hamlet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but you'd have to come to Canada for the barn, though. But it's okay. You're alled to come to Canada. And we'll do another one in the United States.
Let's see what everybody's saying. Maybe they like it. You guys like it. We only care about what our audience says. By the way, next week is Halloween, I think, or thereabouts. So we have to start thinking about themes for that.
Has it been a year since I embarrassed and humiliated myself by dressing like a mobster while Jill Wine-Banks was on the show? Okay.
Yeah, that was a year since. Hi, Jill Wine-Banks.
Yeah. Did it with the white.
The white beef. The white beef thing.
That wasn't good. I think that was a bad moment.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to think about something different this year, maybe for your outfit, something a little less.
I'll be Steve Bannon. Okay.
Why don't we dress up our pets? Someone says bring your dogs. So they're talking about the live.
We should do the characters. We should do the characters from the Trump Russia. We should just dress up as our favorite Trump Russia character.
And we'll try to make something happen for you, Zeph.
Okay. When is that? It is next week, right? Halloween.
I have no idea.
Yes.
Anyhow, soon. Coming Sunday. Soon. Halloween next Friday on the show. I'll be back on Tuesday for another narrative live. It's the Virginia elections is on Tuesday, and there's something else coming on the show which you'll really enjoy, but I'm not going to reveal right now. And then that's the show for tonight. Thanks very much for watching, everybody. Have a good night, everyone. Bye-bye. Narrative is made possible by viewers like you. Join today and support truly independent journalism at patreon.com/narrative. That's patreon.com/narrative.